Izzy and I are back to bring you another coffee conversations. We're super excited to dive in with you this morning. What are we talking about today, Izzy?
We are talking about the business of chakras. And I love this one because, we were kind of ambiguous in the name that we chose for this conversation because I think it's something that everybody can benefit. We have so many members of our community who are spiritual entrepreneurs and starting their own business, but also so many members who are just here for their own spiritual growth and their own spiritual journey. And so we really wanted to find a way to talk about this topic that could include everyone. And so when we're talking about the business of chakras, we're going to be talking about how your business has its own chakra system, if you will, and how that correlates and mirrors your own chakra system. So we'll be getting a little bit of business, a little bit of personal development, and a whole lot of spirituality as we talk today.
I love it. I really do love talking about both business. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen anything else but one of my sole purposes, I believe, is to inspire and help and support Reiki practitioners really bring their gifts into the world and support their communities. And I really felt after, having a successful brick and mortar business and then moving it online and having success here, that I felt like I really need to be teaching this to other Reiki practitioners. Because it is the living out loud. It is like we're dropping the fear, we're letting things go so that we can truly be our authentic selves, coming out of that spiritual closet and sharing our gifts with others. And that's how we, collectively change consciousness. That's how we vibrate higher. That's how we make an impact in the world, like all of those things on the spiritual, woo-woo level, and how you can really take your passion and your inspiration and make it your day job. Let's be practical, right? Like I've been doing this now for, 7 years. Like, this is my business. I don't work. This isn't a hobby. Let's put it that way. Like, it's not my side thing. It is my day job. And I love it. I absolutely enjoy what I do. I get to stick with my passions and really finding other people to collaborate with who also are very passionate about their work and what they do and what they offer. And I just want to see more Reiki practitioners finding that space of like, I'm comfortable, I'm happy and content moving forward. And then, as you all know, hopefully by now, that I have a real, I love talking about the chakras because they are the map to healing. And so we can understand it from a business perspective and really see our business entity as its own spiritual entity and can read its chakras. Wow, we're going to be, it can be pretty amazing. Like when I do chakra analysis for businesses, it's like, the aha moments are just coming right along for business owners going, I see what's going on here. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when we're talking about your business having chakras, there are probably some people listening who are going, it doesn't have chakras, it doesn't have a nervous system, there's no plexi for the energy to flow through. We're not talking about actual physical chakras. Of course, your business is going to be holding its own energy in its own energetic container. And so you can read the chakras of your business, just like you can read the energy of anything in the world, because everything in the world is made of energy. But what we're really talking about when we say that your business has a chakra system is we're looking at the chakras through 7 lenses of the different aspects of life and therefore the different aspects of business. And so in root chakra, you have your foundation, really building from the ground up and creating that solid starting point for your business. Sacral chakra is all about that creativity and finding your flow. Solar plexus is all about confidence and your identity and knowing your why. And like Christine said, stepping out of the spiritual closet. Heart chakra is all about those heartfelt connections that you make with your coworkers or your audience or your clients and even yourself in your business. Throat chakra is obviously about communication, marketing, knowing how to tell people what you do. Third eye is obviously seeing into the future, setting those goals, being able to look forward and see where do you want to go. And then crown chakra, of course, is that bigger picture perspective. Why are you doing what you do? How does it fit into the greater scheme of your life, your purpose, and the life and purpose of humanity at large? And so there's really this beautiful way of looking at each of the 7 different elements of your business and piecing them together, and along the way mirroring them with what your personal chakra system is doing in each moment. So I would love to just take our traditional journey from root to crown and start in root chakra for today. And so I know that this is the lower 3 chakras are Christine and I's jam. We feel like they don't get enough support as they need. And so starting in the root chakra of your business is so important. And this is things that we teach our students all the time, because there are so many aspects of business that are fun, the creativity, the branding, the connecting with clients, the doing actual sessions, all of the things that you think of when you say, oh, I run a business. But root chakra is really all about that behind the scenes work, all of the things that have to be in place in order for your business to be successful, in order to get to those places that you see from the outside. And so that's things like setting up your business accounts and your bank accounts and all of the scheduling software and the website and the logo, branding your business. That obviously ties into sacral chakra a little bit. But when we're looking at it from a root chakra perspective, it's really this question of, do you know what you're doing, who you're doing it for, and how you're going to do it? It's really about creating that solid foundation for your business to start from. And until you answer those questions, until you get really clear on what am I doing, why am I doing it, and how am I doing it, there will be so many holes that you're trying to fill along the way. Whereas if you start answering them from the beginning, it's just going to give you such a beautiful place to start from.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I want to add in, like, there are systems that people don't think about for root chakra that like are super helpful. Having a spreadsheet of your clients that you see so that you can go, hey, it's been 3 days, I should follow up with them. Like, just having any kind of systems and software that's going to help you keep moving forward and keeping so that you're not losing potential clients. I always say fortune's in the follow-up, and oftentimes root chakra is so tied to the money of the business. This is the money mindset of the business. How are we putting those pieces together when it comes to, all right, I have this client and now they've paid me this much, and did I give them an upsell, and did I follow up with them? And like, it's this routine that's foundational that can become really second nature if you have a system in place to kind of help hold you accountable to it. And it's if there are money mindset issues in the business, they become really evident here. Like, I can't do that because I will make someone feel bad, or I can't put myself out there. Like, all of this, if there's an underlying money limiting belief that's holding you back from shining in your business, we need to do the work here. And so when we look at the business entity versus like ourselves personally, what does that look like? Well, there's a reason why you're hesitant of setting up that business bank account. There's a reason why you have your environment set up the way you do. And if there's a fear of like having clients outside of your home, because then you were like, well, then I can't announce that I have seen clients at this address because it's my home and I have to keep everyone safe, right? So those are limiting beliefs of the root chakra. So why are we having our sessions inside the house versus outside the house? Those environmental pieces, the physical location is very much root chakra as well. And it constantly, like, I'm always going back to, why are we doing it inside of our house? Can you rent a space 1 day a week outside of your house, and then returning clients can come into your house? Like, do you have a front? Like, is there something available that you can be, hey, I'm here 1 day a week at this yoga studio or this hair salon or this chiropractor's office, whatever it may be, because then you're getting over this fear of, well, I can't share it because I'm doing it outside of my house. And how does that look professionally, right?
Yeah. And I love what you said earlier about setting up your business bank account and why there's hesitation there. I was actually working with a client earlier this month, and we'd been having some difficulties with her PayPal and setting things up, and we needed it to continue working with her course. And a couple weeks went by, and now I was working with her for administrative things. I wasn't in a coaching position. And so eventually she came to me and she was like, I'm having a really hard time with my PayPal. Can we talk through it? And so we ended up talking through it, and it came out that, she's got this big fear about letting herself receive abundance and letting herself receive money. And so her subconscious way of manifesting that in her life was that she wasn't putting in the effort to set up her PayPal account. And so this is one of those moments where those internal doubts are mirrored in your business. So personally, her personal limiting belief in her root chakra was, I don't deserve abundance, or I can't receive abundance. And the limiting belief was portrayed in her business as, I can't set up my PayPal account. I can't set up the way that I will receive that financial abundance. And so it's this back and forth of figuring out, how do you perceive these things that are holding you back? If you're more tied to your personal way of seeing the world and you understand what your limiting beliefs are, then you can work from there and notice how are they reflected in your business. Versus if you have a harder time going inward and figuring out what is the limiting belief, you can look at your business and say, okay, what's happening here and what is that saying about what's happening inside? And something that I love to talk about with root chakra in business is this idea of surviving versus thriving, because I think it's something that doesn't get talked about in a business lens. There's so much in the personal development world right now about, are you surviving or are you thriving? And it gets kind of thrown around, and it can be a little cliche at this point. But when we talk about it in terms of business, I think it's so important, because we've all had those moments where we are stressed, or we have a decision to make, or we have so many things to do that we start getting frazzled and our energy starts spraying everywhere, and we're just trying to get things done. We all have, our to-do list, and sometimes it just gets so long that you're just trying to tick off all the boxes. But what happens when you do that? You might get things done, but are they done well? Are they done the way that you would want them to get done? And I see so many spiritual entrepreneurs, especially when they first start their businesses, that are just frantically trying to cross off those to-do lists, and they're just trying to hit the boxes, and they're trying to make it look right, and they're trying to do it right, and they're trying to price it right, and they're trying to do the right offers and fit into this box. And when they do that, they're stressing themselves out. They're now in survival mode because they're trying to fit into this checklist that they didn't write. Somebody else set it for them. And so they're never going to be able to keep up, and they're never going to feel like enough, because those desires, those to-dos aren't coming from within. And so you're in survival mode, and things might be getting done, but maybe you're not seeing results, or maybe you end the day feeling exhausted, or you feel like a fraud, hello, imposter syndrome, which comes back in solar plexus, or you feel like the work you're doing isn't fulfilling. All of these things are signs that we're doing something from survival mode. We're just trying to get things done instead of taking a moment to calm ourselves down, to step back into our center, to remember that who, what, when, where, how, why, that is our foundation in root chakra, to remember that we've done all this work on our limiting beliefs, and then look at, how do I want things to go? How do I want to do this? A mantra that I have with myself when I start to get in that space of I just have to get things done is, if I had all the time in the world, how would I do this? If I had no limits, how would I get this done? How would I want it to be done, so that I feel confident and purposeful and powerful in how I have completed this task? And then go with that. We have this fantastic podcast on the energetics of time and how you can play with that. And that's a whole other topic that we can get into. And I'll link it in the show notes. But once you step into that space where you're willing to work with time, where you're willing to show up and step out of survival and into thriving, that's when huge shifts occur, because you're finally starting to say, I'm not going to do it this way just because someone else told me to. I'm going to do it the way that I'm meant to do it. And that's when your foundation really is strong and solid, instead of having little cracks in it because you're trying to make it the way that you don't really want it to be made. And so that's something that I always encourage people to keep in the forefront of their mind, especially when they're first starting their business, is this idea of, if you had all the time in the world, if there were no limitations, how would you do it? And can you let yourself step into that space where you allow yourself to do it that way and see what happens.
So once we have got that established, this connection of how do I want to do this if I had all the time, then we can move really easily into the sacral chakra of going, what's the most joyful way I can do this? What's the most exciting way to do this? What's the way that's going to turn me on and get me excited? What's my zone of genius? What's my zone of excellence? What's my zone of magic in this space? And that's really a beautiful place to step into for sacral chakra, because it allows that creativity to flow. And then you can get excited about the pieces instead of, oh, I'm just ticking things off the box. So when it comes to, I have to have a logo or I have to have these social media posts coming out, instead of going at it as like, this is a task that I have to get done to like satisfy my root, and just, it's a to-do, for going into it as like, this is my opportunity for creativity. I'm saying yes to the creative flow, to have a visual representation of my values, of what I'm putting out into the world, my own branding, who people think my brand stands for. And so I love looking at sacral chakra as a really beautiful space to play with your branding work. And like, how can we step forward and going, if it's not a tick off, what just feels good? What just feels right? What helps me come into alignment when I'm like, I have these colors and I have these fonts? Does it represent my business as a representation of like me separated, right? I feel connected and like excited about putting the things out that I put out, because it's a visual representation of who I am and what my business stands for and what I love to do. And then from that vantage point, it's a lot easier to tick those boxes off.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you have that firm place of root chakra, having your foundation, knowing your why, knowing what you're doing and how you're doing it, then you get into sacral chakra of not just how you're doing it, as in what's the foundation, but now it's like you're putting in the bricks and the windows and you're painting the walls, and you're getting to get creative about what does that structure of your business look like? How do you want it to be represented? And so a lot of times people think sacral chakra and they think sexuality, and they're like, how does that fit in to my business? But there's so much more to sacral chakra. There's passion and there's creativity and there's joy and there's stepping into the flow. And that last one is something that I also want to emphasize for sacral chakra, because again, just like in root chakra, we can get stuck in that to-do list. In sacral chakra, we can forget that if we allow things to happen and we step into that flow of life and of our business, things are going to go so much more smoothly. And there's an example that I have in my own life that I love to share when I'm talking about sacral chakra. A year ago, when I was revamping my website, I had this page and I could see it in my head. I had had that creative inspiration of knowing how I wanted it to go and what I wanted it to look like. And I was trying to get it from my brain onto the web page, and it was just not working. And I spent, I think, 3 hours trying to get this page, this section of the page, to look the way I wanted it to look. And eventually I just got really flustered and really frustrated. And I had so much resistance that I just stopped and I took a breather and I went for a walk. And as I was on this walk, I just kept hearing, why are you trying to force it when it's not ready yet? And so I left it. After that, I went back and I didn't look at the page for a week. And then one day I woke up and I just knew today's the day. I finished that page in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it's about it. There is a tremendous amount of courage that can come from your sacral chakra when you let yourself step into the flow, because it takes a certain amount of letting go and trusting. And I think that's a big piece of your sacral chakra is, can you let yourself let go enough to trust that the flow of your business will get you where you need to go when you need to get there, even if that's not how you think it should go. So just as much as root chakra is about building up that structure, some of sacral chakra is about saying, yes, I have the structure, but maybe it needs to change. Maybe it needs to be different than I think it does. And so they really balance each other out in that masculine and feminine energy of give and take, push and pull, relax and flow, and work hard. And so it's this really beautiful mixture that you get when these two are really solid in your business.
And another metaphor for this is, if you feel like you are paddling upstream and like there is a heavy current coming your way and you are still trying to make it upstream in your canoe, I often say, what would happen if you like throw out the oars? Where would your boat end up? And can we trust that? So if there is this bit of, I'm going against the current and life feels frustrating and it feels difficult, what happens if we let go of some of that control? What happens if we let go of some of those, I need to hold it all. I need to hold all of the control, and just going, I'm going to trust that the boat is going to end up where it needs to go. And oftentimes when I help clients move through this process, they come to a place of, wow, it didn't need to be so hard. It didn't need to, I didn't actually need to check off all of the boxes to start accepting and receiving clients and accepting and receiving money into my business. But I spent so much time with my nose to the grindstone and looking at the paperwork that I couldn't sit up and just be available to the people that were already starting to energetically come towards me and just saying yes to it because I was looking down at the paperwork.
Yeah.
And so I noticed this too. Like if you are starting your business, or if you've been in business for even a while now, and yet you have such a to-do list, are you taking a breath and a moment to going, I'm going to set things down and just look around and be available and go, what's the next joyful thing I can do? What's going to, whether that is take a walk or go for a bike ride or whatever it is, there's a reason why your soul is being drawn to that activity, because in that moment, that's when the divine inspiration comes. That's when the alignment shows up, and taking that break, you can come back refreshed, or knowing that you need to set it down for a week. Like either way, but there's just such magic in the self-care.
Mhm.
And I highly recommend it. And I think there's a lot of people who are in our society, in our culture, that says you have to work hard for money and you have to be productive. You can't let any time be wasted. I only have so much of it. And we get in this frantic phase, we don't have any space to allow divine to kind of lead the way. And so when we have all of those, that heaviness in our canoe, and we're paddling upstream, what happens when we go, actually, I'm just going to let's see where this flows, and follow my joy and follow my passion. And if that's going, you know what, I don't want to do a 60-minute Reiki session like all these other practitioners. I want to lead a Reiki art class, or I want to do Reiki dog walking and do dog sessions, like whatever, like, but this is where your creativity shows up. That inspiration says, this is the way you are meant to do Reiki sessions, and it doesn't need to look like everyone else.
Yes. And that's such a beautiful segue into solar plexus, because solar plexus is really where we get our confidence, our motivation, our identity, all of these things. And so that last phrase that Christine said, if this is how you are meant to do things, that is all solar plexus. Just how sacral chakra is about letting go and having that trust, solar plexus brings it into the level of, can you trust yourself? Do you know yourself enough to know what your purpose is, why you're doing this, what motivates you? Can you firmly stand in that truth of knowing that you can relax and let go and flow with the divine, but also that the divine has put you here for a specific purpose, for a particular reason? And I think this is what is so beautiful about being a spiritual entrepreneur, is you can bring that knowledge into your business. I've seen so many people that I work with in the corporate world who their solar plexus of their business is just so depleted because, like Christine was saying, there's a lot of stigma around money and confidence, and swagger is the word that comes to mind, and all of these things that you see in the workplace, that as a spiritual entrepreneur, you can take it and you can realize that there is a divine purpose both for you as a human and for the business and the purpose that your business serves. And something that I love to express here on the personal development side of solar plexus is this idea of, everybody can do a job. Everybody can do Reiki. Everybody can create a spreadsheet. Everybody can do math, maybe to different levels of expertise, but everybody can get a job done. But what makes you special is how you do it, why you do it, the energy that you bring to it, and who you are as a unique pinpoint of consciousness in human form. And so when we're building our businesses, we're doing such a great disservice by trying to do what everybody else is doing, because that's not why you're here. Everybody can do the same thing. We absolutely could. Everybody can follow the exact same business structure and the same 10 steps and all of the things, and we can do that. But what makes you special, what makes you light up, what makes you have that passionate fire in you, that's what you're meant to be bringing into your business. And that's what solar plexus is all about, is can you look at yourself, your chakras, and notice what's lighting your fire? What are you passionate about? Why are you passionate about it? And can you stand confidently in that truth so that you can show up and share it with others? And then that's reflected in your business of how are you going to take that passion and package it up in this really beautiful way that you can share with others, that can benefit the world, that can serve the clients that you're meant to be serving in whichever way feels best for you. And so there's really this, just like sacral chakra is very communal and connecting with the divine, solar plexus takes that energy and brings it inward. And there's that self-focus of, where is my passion? And can I be confident enough to step into that and to stand in that firmly so that I can then share it with the world?
And I want to also go notice where the fire and the frustration and the, oh, I'm really like, I want to speak my truth in this. We had a post yesterday in the Reiki Cafe community on going live. And that is very much throat chakra, but there's a big chunk of it down here in solar plexus of going, and someone had asked, like, what do I do a live on? And one of my answers out of many was noticing what your inspiration is and speaking to it, and noticing what's getting you frustrated, what's firing you up. That's the solar plexus. So if you have something in your world, whether it's a book you're reading or a podcast that you listen to or something, and it's just like, I'm just so, and when we speak to that frustration and we let people know, this is who I am, and this is what I don't think is right about the world or right about this industry or whatever, that also is taking that fuel from the solar plexus and letting people see who you are so that they can resonate with your energy and say, yeah, I agree. Or no, I don't agree. And I don't belong here. This isn't the right space for me. Part of the confidence that grows in solar plexus is allowing you to be fully who you are and not manipulate your energy to manipulate others, right? I don't want to downplay who I am to make other people like me and say yes to my services. I want to be all of me, everything of me. Even if I say something that's controversial, all I'm doing is letting the people who aren't in alignment with my energy to let them go, because I can't serve them, because I want people to gravitate towards my energy and who I am, my business structure, the way I do things, which are very different than the other Reiki practitioners in the world. And so this is also a calling to stand fully in your truth of who you are and what your business represents, and not people pleasing and like making it so that everyone enjoys you. If I have a post that I don't piss someone off, I haven't done my job. Like, that's kind of the way my brain works. Because if I'm trying to appease to everyone, I'm not being authentic to myself. I'm not being authentic to my business. And so even though my business is very community oriented, it's also meant to be inspirational. And sometimes that inspiration comes off of like, I don't fit in that. And that's okay, because those aren't going to be my clients. Those aren't going to be my customers. And so this is also going back and taking that fire of what you're learning, of that inspiration that's going on in your life, and sharing it so that people can know what your business represents. And you're doing it from an authentic place of, who am I? Who is my business? What do we represent?
Right. And I think that is so important, having that confidence of being willing to let go of people pleasing is so important before we step into the heart chakra of our business, because heart chakra is all about that connection and building relationships with your client and building rapport. And what you get when you still have that solar plexus need to hide yourself or to people please or to be what people want you to be so that they come into your programs or your sessions or whatever it is, that's when you get these connections that feel really salesy. I'm sure we've all had somebody reach out to us on Facebook like, hey, buy my service. that's what you get when you have that solar plexus complex, if you will, where you haven't stepped into your confidence. You haven't given yourself the motivation to go past the fear and be authentically you while you have those heartfelt connections. Because when you have both elements in place, that strong solar plexus and that strong heart chakra, that's when you're calling in the people who resonate fully with your energy. You don't have to worry about, am I doing this right? Am I keeping up with the energy that I put out before? Am I being consistent? Because you're just you. If you're showing up authentically, your business will be naturally consistent in the energy and content it puts out, because you don't have to worry about, am I appeasing XYZ rules that I set out for myself from the start? You're just asking, is this what I need to be bringing into the world now and now and now? And so the people who are resonating with you will naturally come to you. And then when you're in that space, when you have your community, when you have your client, when you have your patient or whoever it is, that's when you can have these really heartfelt conversations of understanding that, yes, maybe this is your business and they're your student or they're your client, but you're also equals. You're both on that human level. And there's a dynamic there that's so important to understand of, maybe you're imparting wisdom or you're helping heal or whatever it is, but at the end of the day, you're still at that heart to heart level of connection. And so there's a certain amount of compassion and kindness that comes in. But unless you have that solar plexus boundary of being willing to stand in your truth, stand in your role, and stand in your authenticity, those heart to heart connections aren't going to feel as heartfelt. And so it's so important that you have, again, these two to balance each other out, just like root and sacral. Solar and heart really balance each other out too, with that fire and that passion and that motivation and the boundaries in solar plexus, with that kindness and compassion and empathy and love and connection that you feel in heart chakra.
Yeah. And, knowing that there's a give and take in heart chakra. And I think I always come back to balance for heart chakra, the balance of masculine and feminine, the balance of give and take, that I'm able to receive help and support. So as a business, where are you not in your zone of genius? You're not in your zone of magic. And how can I delegate things and receive support from others? That could be as simple as, I'm not doing my taxes, I'm giving it to an accountant, which I highly recommend. Or, I'm really passionate and very good about this piece of my business, and I feel like this other piece needs some support outside of me, and I'm growing, and I know if I do this part, it will help my business grow. And so it's worth the spending some money on someone else doing it to make it happen. So for example, if it's someone doing your social media management, or if it's someone doing your newsletter once a month, like here's my limiting belief, right? That comes out often. I'm not a great writer. Like, I'm a decent writer, but that's not where my energy really thrives. Like, put me in front of a camera and I'm good to go. Hello, solar plexus. Like, this is knowing my truth. This is, as a business owner, I know that the more I get on camera, the more clients I'll have, right? That's how my energy feels, right? But I know that having a business needs written material as well. And that's why we, in the beginning, I was like, I need some support. I need someone to support me with the social media, because it's so much written based, right? I need a newsletter. I need some pieces happening that I just don't feel confident about doing. And I can practice and I can try really, really hard to be that good, excellent writer. And I could do it. But if it takes me 5 hours versus Izzy takes 20 minutes, the choice is clear, right? Like, and so, this is that balancing and going, I am open and ready to receive support. And I have to share the story of how Izzy came into the business. So, because I think it serves the heart chakra. It really does. So here I am. This was probably 2 or 3 years? 2 years now.
2.5, I think. Yeah.
Feels longer than that.
It does.
So, we haven't even launched our full, I think we had just launched our first, 3-month program, we hadn't even done anything longer than that. And I'm like, man, I need some help. I can't keep up with the social media. I can't keep up with all these things and provide the service, the care, the care that and the nurturing, like I love to give to my students, because I really like to take them under my wing and give them a lot of energy and attention. And I was like, I need some help and I don't know who to look for. And I'm just putting it out to the universe. Bring me someone who can help me in my business. Literally, I think it was in like 24 hours. I get this random message from someone who I don't even know on like Facebook Messenger. I'm like, hey, and it's Izzy. And she's like, hey, do you need any VA help? And I'm like, yes, I could totally use a virtual assistant. So I'm like, thank you, universe. And we get these.
Actually, I just reached out about social media at the time because so my side of the story is I was freshman in college and I was working in a bakery, had a really unpleasant experience with the manager. And I was like, never again will someone else set my hours for me. And so I started thinking, how can I create a business where I'm my own boss? And I was like, I could be a social media manager, knowing that I had never done anything like this before. But I had just gotten my Reiki certification in, I think it was August. And so my master level certification in August. And I think I messaged Christine in September. So it was really quickly where I got this hunch. I had been in the community for 3 weeks, maybe a month. And I just got this hunch. And so I messaged her and I was like, hey, do you need any social media help? And she was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I just was putting this out to the universe. And of course, now it's so much more than just social media help, but it's a really fun story to tell.
Right. And it just goes to like slowing down enough to recognize what you need support around and where could you actually, what is your zone of genius, what you're really good at, and let's spend time there. And the pieces that are, you're kind of incompetent in, or just barely hitting that competence level, and you're taking hours and hours and hours to try to get it done. Those are the pieces where I'm like, I could do a session and pay for this activity, right? Like, all right, I'm so happy to take on additional client this week so I can pay for this other service, right? So think about it. Like, where is the balance going on? Like, if you're thriving doing sessions that you love them, you could do them all day long and feel fantastic about that, then you know that that's yours, you're in your zone, right? And what are things that are really like taking so much of your energy and you feel absolutely depleted afterwards and frustrated, and you're like, I don't ever want to have to look at that again. Those things, it's time to delegate them, so knowing when your business gets built to a certain point, it's really, really worth it to go, I'm not available to do my taxes. Like, that is something that I'm totally in my zone of incompetence. It's an easy example here to go, like, because I think a lot of people can resonate with like, yeah, I'm going to mess that up. Like, I'm not touching that one. And feel like, where's the balance? Where's the balance in my life? Where's the balance between the, I'm willing to receive help and support, and noticing what's getting in the way of that. If that's money stuff, that's root chakra again, right? And then where am I really beautiful and offering and supporting others? Oh, well, I really love to support my students. I really love to support my clients. And that's where I thrive. So receiving help on the pieces that you need support on. Yeah.
And then that ties into throat chakra of knowing how do you communicate in your business, whether it's with your virtual assistants or people that you're hiring, or it's with your clients. Something that Christine and I talk about a lot is the idea of having your elevator pitch. Are you so clear in your business and what it looks like, why you're doing it, who you're doing it for, and how you're doing it, like we've been talking about this whole conversation, that you can piece it together in a 30-minute speech? Are you so clear in your business that you understand the language that you want to use, the energy that you want to bring forward with your words to the business that you have? Because it's so important, just like your branding and your logo and your website and your business cards and your flyers and all of these things are visual representations of your business. The words that you use and the way that you show up in those conversations is also a representation of your business. And so being really clear about, how do I want to communicate with clients? What are the words that I want to use? How do I want them to feel when I am speaking to them? And then also, how do I communicate what my business is? Do I have a mission statement that I can share? Do I have an elevator pitch that when somebody says, oh, what do? You can say, I do XYZ for these people because this. boom, that's it. It doesn't have to be complicated, but there's a certain level of clarity that you have in throat chakra that naturally flows when you have root, sacral, solar, heart in place, because you've got that confidence, you've got the creativity in sacral, you've got the structure in root, and you've got the connections in heart, that now it just naturally comes out in your words. But I think it's also so important to remember that words have power, and they are energetic vehicles, if you will. And so the way that you're communicating about your business, with your business, and for your business is so important, because it really is another way that you're showing up for yourself and your brand, and also for your clients and the people that you support. And so that's really where throat chakra comes in, is what words are you using to represent your business?
Mhm. And are you using words that's helping you shine as an expertise in your area? Are you sharing your spiritual growth journey? Are you able to be humble in that? Are you able to balance out, like oftentimes throat chakra is a masculine energy center, and so is your solar plexus. So whatever is reflecting in your solar plexus wants to kind of come out your throat or not come out at all, depending on how your solar plexus is doing. And so really focusing on, like, if you are a very confident person, if you have a really strong solar plexus, are the words you're saying coming across as arrogant, or are they coming off as, I'm an expert in my area and I've been through some shit. Like I've taken a long time to get here, to work on myself, to come in this space. And so really allowing that solar plexus energy to move through your heart of compassion, through your heart center space, so that when you are speaking, the drive here is to make heart-centered connections and communications. So
I
we're
was just about to say, as you were saying that, I was like, there is this mirror between throat and solar plexus, but there's that in heart. We were talking about those heart to heart connections, and how at the end of the day you recognize and you can honor that the person sitting across from you is just as much human as you are, and is just as much part of the divine as you are. And so there is this, yes, your mind might have a certain level of expertise in the area. Your human experience might be different and have molded you to be able to stand in your business and share your truth and your wisdom, but that doesn't make you any better or worse than the person you're sitting across from, than the person that you're helping. And so there's that heart temperament, again, that balance between knowing your worth and knowing your truth that you have to share, but also recognizing that even as you're sharing it on a soul level, you're equals, and you both actually already know everything that's going to pass between you in this experience, because on that soul level, you are that sentient, conscious being, that spiritual being. And so there is that confidence and that element of knowing your expertise in solar plexus that comes out in throat, but it's tempered by that knowledge in your heart that you're looking at an equal, you're looking at a fellow being who deserves your love and compassion. And that helps kind of tamp down anything that might turn into arrogance or pride or egoism or whatever you want to call it, because there's that understanding that I am no better than the person sitting across from me. I just happen to be seeing through a lens that's tinted a specific shade that allows me to share a new experience with this person.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of what's coming through right now is, I recently was sent a book from a publisher, and they wanted to get on the podcast. And so he was an expert in Reiki and mindfulness. And that's kind of what the book was based on. And all I could see was like shoulding all over me. You should sit this way. You should do the hand positions this way. You should. If that is ego, like, I am the expert and I know better than you. And so I'm the authority on this matter. But it's knowing, like, watching your mouth, like if there's shoulding going on, versus feel into, I invite you to try. Historically speaking, this has been an excellent method to use. Like, there's different ways you can use language where we're not pointing fingers and shitting on people. And so we really need to watch our language and make sure that we're inclusive, right? Are we being inclusive of neurodivergent people? Are we being inclusive to people with disabilities? Are we being inclusive to different cultures? And so we need to be watching our language to make sure we're not offending people and putting people down and making them feel less than if they don't do it your way, right? And so, oftentimes in the Reiki Cafe community, all of our courses, we're very much like, here's a buffet of options. You can try any of these things and it's going to help this chakra. And I want you to feel into what feels good to you. Do that. Try them, but you don't have to do anything. I want you to gravitate and feel into and feel what's right for you. And so I'm not shitting on people. And so we're watching our language, which is so much about throat chakra. How are we communicating? What language are we using? And are we inviting people into a deeper practice, or are we shitting on them?
One of my favorite phrases to use here is it's an opportunity, not a burden. Because I think when we step into this space, especially with healing, we want to go back to root chakra with that checklist of you do this and this and this and this, and you do it perfectly, and then you'll be healed. And we all know that's not how it works. It's just not. And if there were a 10-step program that if everybody did it, we would all be healed, none of us would have jobs. There would be no need for us here. And the reason that we are here is because there's not. There is no 1-step, 10-step, 20-step, infinite step program that will help every single person heal, because it is such a unique journey. And so that's also something that I think I encourage entrepreneurs to bring into their understanding, is that you are just a pinpoint in your client's journey. You are just one moment where your paths cross. You aren't the entire journey. You can't know what their path has been coming to you. Even if they tell you their life story, you still can't know what their experience was, and you won't know what their experience is after you part ways. And so finding that gratitude and that depth of being able to say, our paths have crossed for a reason now, and I will share what I feel called to share with you. But remember that it's an opportunity, not a burden. You can choose. The client has that choice. It's in their power to heal. It's their choice to do the things. And so that's why at Reiki Cafe, we are so passionate about, over and over and over again, you'll hear us say, intuition comes first. Feel into it. Notice how it feels for you. What is your intuition telling you? All of these things, because just like we were talking about how ego says, I know, and you should do this. There's this mind first. Coming into that balanced place, like Christine was talking about, is really saying, what does your intuition say? Recognizing that, again, the person sitting across from you is just as sentient and just as powerful and just as all-knowing as you are at your core, and that they have the ultimate say and the ultimate choice and the ultimate power in their own lives. So yes, your paths have crossed and you have an opportunity to join into each other's experience, but also knowing that even at the end of the day, the choice is still theirs. It is still an opportunity for them, not a burden. They don't have to do anything. They shouldn't. There's nothing that they should do. It's an opportunity to share things and tell them, what does that feel like for you? What do you think? So bringing in that gentle nature of heart chakra into your throat is also really important.
Yeah. And really easily flows into our next chakra for third eye, like listening to that intuition, and, for me, the way I like to really see third eye for business in particular is really like, how are we perceiving the world? And I want to bring it to, recently had a client, and they're trying to make some business contacts, and the perception of what occurred as successful or not successful can really hinder your continual progress, right? And so I love to remind people that in business, we're planting seeds right in here, right now, with all of you watching or listening to this program. We're planting seeds. We're planting seeds of inspiration. We're planting seeds of possibility. We're at your disposal to be possibility portals of like, this is possible for you too. And so as we plant these seeds, we can do our best to water and nurture them, but it's the seed itself that is, when they're ready for the teacher, they get to choose, right? And so even if so when you're hanging up your flyers and you're putting out your business cards, all of those things are seeds. You're seeding people with this information. When you do a live, when you do all of these different outreaches to the world, I like to see it as I've planted a seed. I've planted a seed with that flyer, that business card. So I had a client years ago. He literally saw my business card hanging up in a climbing gym of all places. And he took that card and he put it on his fridge. He put it on his fridge and it was there for, I think he told me, over 8 months. It was sitting there, like, kind of like with my picture, smiling at him every day on his fridge, like, I'm available. And it was a seed. And when he was ready, when his soul was like, yeah, I'm ready to do the work, he called me. And he not only signed up for numerous sessions, he ended up taking all of the Reiki level 1, 2 masters. He became an apprentice. He shadowed me for months and doing the work. And he's ready to, like, shift his whole career to say, yeah, I want to live my life in this energy. And had it not been for my card, putting myself out there. So hello, solar plexus, putting myself out there. Heart chakra, I'm willing to live out loud and make myself available, let going of that witch's wound that I'm going to be ridiculed, being able to communicate through a physical material. Here's the card. I planted the seed, and seeing it as a seed and not going, man, I put all those cards up and it's been 2 weeks and no one's called me, right? It's allowing the divine to interact with all of your seeds, and when they are, and being inspired to be drawn to your energy. And so we have to put ourselves out over and over and over again to say, I'm available. I'm ready to help you and help in your healing journey when you're ready. So once again, it's not ego pushing it. It's going, I'm available. I'm in alignment for you to come into this practice for your support, for your healing when you are. So there isn't this push. And that can be a really beautiful organic thing because you're open to that divine inspiration. You're open to that divine play in the matter and going, my perception is I've just planted hundreds of seeds in the world so that when people are ready for their healing, they know where to come.
Absolutely. And that almost feels a little crown chakra to me as well, that big picture perspective and that divine inspiration. But for me, a big part of third eye is also being able to set goals, not in a restrictive way. I think the way that we, set goals or resolutions can hinder the flow of divine inspiration in our lives, in our business. But when we can see into the future of what do I want to happen? If, this is Christine and I's favorite way to open a session. If you could wave a magic wand and have anything happen, what would it be? Being able to see into the future of feeling the trajectory of where is my business going? Who am I serving? And where do I want it to go is a big part of third eye, because a lot of the chakras that we've covered so far really are in that present moment, internal awareness of what's happening now. Where am I now? And so third eye invites you to look at, now that you have these pieces in place, now that you are in the present moment, what does the next moment look like potentially? What is the next potential that you want to catalyze in your life while you're continuing to flow with divine guidance? And so something that Christine and I love doing for third eye is what we call future forecast journaling, where you just take a journal and you write about what you want to happen 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road, as if it was happening now. So I am so grateful that I have 6 clients a week. I am so grateful that I'm earning 10K months. I am so grateful that I have 2 new apprentices, whatever it is. And you're writing it as if it's happening now. So you're bringing in that gratitude in the heart. You're bringing in that knowledge of what you want for yourself and your business from solar plexus. And you're bringing in that divine connection and that willingness to go with the flow from sacral. But you're bringing also in that future energy that can flow in through third eye. So you're opening yourself up, like Christine said, to being available for, this is what I want. Show me if it's going to happen, and I always say, when I'm in that space of future forecast journaling, I have this little mantra that I use, which is, if it's for me, let it be. If it's not, soon forgot. And so it's this phrase of, this is where I see it going. This is a potential that I would love to happen, and giving it up to the divine. And if it's meant for me, let it happen. If it's meant for me, show me the way. And if it's not, show me what's meant to take its place. And so there's, again, that give and take here, that balance of being able to see into the future, bringing in that energy that you want in your business, and also going up to crown chakra and saying, and I know that at the end of the day, this is so much bigger than just me and just my perspective of what I have now. So let's see where it's going to take me in that big picture perspective of crown chakra.
Yeah, Absolutely. So moving into crown, then we get to really play in the space of I'm available. I'm available for the divine inspiration to come into my world, to know what the next business steps I need to take are that are going to shake and move things forward versus like I'm stuck on like I have to do the nitty-gritty details. So you have the foundation laid, which we need, right? We have that foundation, that steady, strong foundation. And as the crown chakra is going, here's the next action step. Then if all of your chakras are clear, you can communicate about it. You feel it in your heart. You're making connections. You're delegating as you need to. Your solar plexus is going, yes, this is an alignment. I feel comfortable with doing this. I want to take that motivation and start taking those action steps. That sacral chakra, like creativity, like let's build it, let's create it, let's put that offer out there and taking those steps. So when the divine inspiration comes in and those chakras are in alignment for your business, there isn't a lot of resistance to taking the next steps. And so much I believe about divine inspiration and that chakra openness is about allowing yourself to get the inspiration, to get that intuitional nudge, to take a step and just doing it. Like, don't wait, don't procrastinate, don't contemplate too much. Just kind of let it percolate in your third eye with that brain activity, that education of going, okay, I'm thinking about how this can be plausible. And now I'm going to go speak it. And I'm going to go bounce it off of a few people and going, okay, yeah, that could work. And then feeling into your heart chakra, who can help me with this? Who can collaborate with me and create it, or offering it to people and seeing if there's yeses there and listening to that inspiration of like, who needs this now? This unique offer that I've come up with, who needs this? Let's make it available. And so you can see how that divine inspiration comes in, flows through your chakras, and it can really help move your business forward, especially with that future forecasting in place. We're setting ourselves up like, yes, I am available for more clients. Yes, I'm available for growth. Yes, I'm available for abundance to come into my life. I'm calling it in now. And then the divine inspiration is like, sure, here's the way. Are we stopping ourselves because we have got unhealed wounds or limiting beliefs, whether that's imposter syndrome, whether that's the witch's wound, whatever it is there something stopping you? Because the divine is saying, yes, we can provide that, but we've got to do the work too. We've got to be able to self-reflect and go, I see where the resistance here. Let's get curious about it. Let's get curious. I'm inviting myself in to look at it from a new perspective. I'm inviting myself in to see how this can be a different way. And when we are available to do that, once again, we're helping settle that ego going, we all have work to do. We all have next steps. We're all not perfectly healed. We're not all perfect in alignment. And I can definitely say that for myself, is that, we all have stuff. We all have stuff. And so it's this, when we have the divine inspiration and you feel like, yeah, that's really in alignment and going, where's the resistance? It's a calling in of, we've got more work to do. We've got more curiosity that we can bring to this to heal it, to say, I no longer subscribe to that limiting belief. I no longer subscribe to that old wound that is making me fearful now. And I invite you to kind of get curious. And I think as a business, when we can get curious about what's getting stuck and what's out of flow, there's a tremendous amount of healing possible for ourselves, for our businesses, and having a business can be a healing journey as well.
Absolutely. So we've given you guys a lot to think about today. And I know that you can see how everything ties together. All of the elements are constantly circling and flowing and moving and changing and evolving. And so knowing that, like Christine said, this might be a healing journey for you. Opening a business really does reflect your chakras and what's happening internally. And so as you're working with your business or you're working with yourself, they're interchangeable, they're flowing together, they're influencing each other. And so we could talk about this for years, but that is part of why we have set up part of Reiki Cafe to be dedicated to business. So we actually have a college of business where we have memberships and courses and webinars and all kinds of things to support you guys, because like Christine said at the very start of this part of our passion and part of our purpose here at Reiki Cafe really is to support you in bringing your dreams into reality and creating the business that you want to have and live the passions that you have inside of you. And so we've got a lot of really excellent opportunities for you right now, and everything we're about to talk about will be linked in the show notes. And so we have a really wonderful free resource for you all if you want to just go right from this conversation into the next and keep the wisdom, information, and resources coming. We have our business support guide, which will give you free access to Christine's 2 amazing webinars, her Build Your Confident Reiki Business webinar and her top 10 tips to keep clients coming. These have been fan favorites for years now, and they have such amazing resources. So the Your Confident Reiki Biz webinar will take you through knowing your why, creating your mission statement, building your elevator pitch, all of those foundational pieces that we were talking about. And then the 10 steps to keep clients coming will help you maintain that energy, create those connections, and find your ideal client. So this is an amazing resource if you are just starting out, or even if you want to look at your business from a new perspective. And if you're hoping for some one-on-one support, we do have our Reiki Business membership, which is a monthly membership with 2 calls each month, one with Christine that's focused on mentorship and program development and the story behind things and all of that aspect, and then one call with me that focuses on tech. So how to set up Zoom, how do I use Canva, how do I set up Calendly, all of those questions will be with me. And in between, of course, you have messenger support and access to your Reiki Cafe professors for any questions that you might have. And then, of course, finally, we have our College of Business, which has all of our self-paced courses that cover so many different aspects of the business, like we've talked about today with the chakras. So if you're interested in any of those things and you want to keep working with us in the business realm, then we're so excited to be working with you. All of those links will be below.
Yay, I'm so excited. And we started up our Reiki Business membership only maybe a month ago, and it's lovely. I just got to say, I love it. I get really inspired by you guys. Are my medicine as well, and I love helping create and craft your potential and your ideas into something that's profitable. And I get really excited because if I know, if I can help someone come into their own energy and own their own energy and own their own confidence and own who they are and go, I want to do things differently. Like you're my type of student. Like if the box hasn't been working for you, I really love helping people create something that's really in alignment with their energy. And how do I build that? Whether that is your everyday doing Reiki sessions, or that you want to put together a unique VIP package that you can be offering clients. So if that is of interest, definitely check out the links. And we're going to be, we love helping with Reiki business information. So definitely keeping your eye out. We'll be doing more of these. And thank you all so much for taking the time. And really, I mean that. Thank you for taking the time to listen, to be available, to allow this information to sink in, and to take some more time to self-reflect and going, ooh, what felt uncomfortable out of that conversation? Ooh, what was that about? Where's the resistance there? Get curious. And I invite you into that space of taking a magnifying glass and looking at all the angles and how does that feel and how does that resonate and what was the uncomfortable bits, because there's magic in those of potential healing. So thank you for being here, for spending the morning with us, and we'll see you next time.
Beautiful. Thank you all.